Mike Trevisano.
His mind is a terrible thing to waste.
WTAM 1100.
Well, it's Open Lines Friday, except for this segment. We're going to have the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Dan Gilbert, on in just a second here. Gary, the numbers guy's in the studio. We were talking about issue 3, and I guess probably somebody must have called Mr. Gilbert and said they were talking about issue 3. So Mr. Gilbert, the owner of Cavaliers, wants to join us, and we'll welcome Dan to the show. Dan, before we get started, Dan, let me tell you where I'm coming from here, okay?
Okay.
I want the casino here.
Oh, I know that. I know you do.
But I don't want to be lied to.
Mike, here's the deal. So we normally fly home right over Lake Erie, but the weather grounded us, so we had one of your great companies, Shima drivers, Shima Limousine. What do they call it? Just Shima Courier? Shima. Very good. I got to get another plug in. Of course, we wouldn't miss the Trevisano show driving. So 1100, we stick it in. All of a sudden, I'm doing my homework here, and I hear you guys talking about stuff. I know you had that Nostradamus guy on there. Is he still on, too?
I'm still here.
Yeah, Gary, the numbers guy. Say hello, Gary.
Mr. Gilbert knows who I am.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
LeBron did great last year. No knee issues.
No. I said it would be this year.
Stop it! Stop it! Go ahead, Dan.
Second of all, you guys are so negative. Why are you guys so negative? Negative. We got to get rid of that negative stuff in Cleveland. LeBron's staying. He's not going to go anywhere. The other thing is restaurants. When you talk about restaurants, and Mike, you bring up a point up. That's a real good point because it would be the normal way you would think of things, right? At a casino, everybody's self-contained. Remember, in restaurants, you got a McDonald's or you got say a Pickwick and Frolics. Those are two different experiences. Same thing in casinos. You could have a certain kind of casino that's self-contained out in a cornfield, or you can build a casino facing the city where 8 million visitors are going to come down, and where they're going to go to 4th Street and have a big, huge boom on 4th Street and maybe even a boom on some other yet-to-be-built blocks. I mean, we are competing against West Virginia, Indiana, Michigan, even that dreaded town of Pittsburgh. And, we're going to build this thing. It's going to be one of the biggest catalysts that we've seen really in downtown Cleveland here. And the tax rate's one of the highest ones in the country. I don't know what you guys are talking about with your tax rate.
There is a state that has 67% taxes on the casino. I'm not sure what the state is. They're looking it up right now.
Well, Gary, let's tell you what it is. It's Maryland, and no one will build the casinos there because it's too high. It's ridiculous. And you know what it does? It hurts the revenue of the state and hurts all the people and the taxpayers. So you've got, got 19% in Michigan. You got 34, 33, 35% in Indiana. But when you put in table games, it's even a little bit less. You've got 7% in Vegas and 18% in New Jersey, I think. So here's the deal. We're gonna build a $600 million facility, and it's going to be at the heart of downtown the entertainment district, and we're going to light it up like Las Vegas, like LeBron said when he got drafted, and we're going to get rid of negativity, and we're going to make it happen in downtown Cleveland. You throw that convention center in there and the medical mart, and we got something really special going on. 4th Street's booming, some stuff going on in the flats. So let's get pumped up and get positive.
Well, I agree with a lot that you have to say, but Dan, is it going to be in writing that there's not going to be a hotel ever connected to this casino?
Well, here's the reason why I wouldn't put it in writing. I'm going to tell you the reason. If the hotels all fill up, right, and all of a sudden there's a demand and we're short hotel rooms, we wouldn't want to not have conventions and everything else come to Cleveland because we didn't have another hotel that was needed. So maybe we'd partner up with one of the hoteliers down there. But certainly for the foreseeable future, we want to get those hotels healthy. We want them to be helped by the casino, which they will be. We're not going to build a hotel. Hey, man, this is all about connectivity. It's about businesses helping other businesses because it's kind of like hardware and software, right? The more good hardware you sell, the more software can run on it. So that improves software sales. The more great software you have, the more hardware that gets sold. Same thing with a downtown core that's well thought out.
Dan, this is my only thing about the casino. First of all, I'm a gambler too, okay? So I have no problem with the casino, but I just want to be told the truth, just like everyone else, just like you would want to be too. Now, first of all, just based on your birthday, 117, I think your casino issue is going to pass. So
that's good.
That's why I will tell you. I will tell you just based on your birthday, I think the casino's issue is going to pass because I know you've had a very emotional year with this issue.
See, now all the consultants you paid, Dan, and he could have told you on your birthday it was going to pass.
We could have saved $50 million. Why didn't I should have gotten back with you earlier.
Well, I was right about Gilbert Arenas, wasn't I?
Yeah, I think you've done some things, but we should talk about that. I gotta hear more about it.
I'm sure.
You know, Dan. The thing of it, I think that anybody with a half a brain, okay, knows that there's a ton of revenue leaving the state of Ohio, going to the surrounding states because of gambling. Okay. But the thing of it is right now, Dan, I mean, this thing should be it should be state of the art. It should be something different, Dan. I don't know what that is. I didn't pay $50 million for consultants, but it shouldn't be just another hotel, another casino, because you're only going to attract people from within.
Well, you know what? We're absolutely going to be open to one of the most unique designs and make this thing special, a destination location. We're right now focused on the campaign, getting this thing across the finish line, and we're in good shape if everybody votes. You know, one of the things I don't want anybody to do because we're ahead in the polls is to get complacent and think, hey, you know what, I don't have to go vote because these guys are ahead. Every vote's going to matter. Anybody who's against this thing will vote. If you have any inclination to be in favor of it, you got to go vote. And so I'll tell you what, we'll be focused on the engineering design the next day, and we'll be taking input from everybody, even from you guys. We'll be taking input from everybody to make this a special thing, something that the community can be proud of, and something that will also attract convention business to the new convention center right here in downtown Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. And Dan, as far as 8 million visitors, I did the math. It didn't sink in. You said that on my show. Do you realize that's 22,000 people a day?
Absolutely. Do you know the one that's out in the cornfields in Pennsylvania gets something like 17,000 a day? The one that's what city is that? I got my partner here in Pennsylvania. That's the Hollywood Casino when we went and stuff. The one it's somewhere outside of Harrisburg, and I don't know the exact city, but it's run by Penn Gaming. Something like 17,000 a day, and we're talking in the cornfields. So, 22,000 a day is not an issue. And we think it could even exceed that. And you know what? It's going to be something, again, cannot stress enough, that we're going to interact facing the city in the heart of the entertainment district and make sure that it's a boom to the businesses downtown and everybody else.
Dan, can I ask you this one question? A lot of people around say there's casinos saturated all around us. One in West Virginia, one in Pennsylvania, Indiana, Michigan. They're going to say Cleveland's not going to be a destination spot because who's going to come to a casino just because it's in Cleveland? What I was just wondering is, have you ever thought about maybe a sports book? Because that would draw more people because there's no sports books around except in Las Vegas or in Delaware, but whatever, they just opened there in September. Wouldn't that seem a little bit more logical? I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me.
Along with a casino, Dan. I mean, that's what I was talking about, thinking out of the box, bringing something different to Cleveland.
Unfortunately, there's federal law right now that prohibits sports gaming in any casinos outside of Las Vegas and the ones that had them already grandfathered in. I think there might be a few in Atlantic City. So
Delaware.
That's unfortunately out. And so, you know what? We'll be doing a lot of unique things. There's a lot of ideas floating around. There's a lot of stuff on the table. I cannot tell you how open we are to it and how much we want to hear all the ideas. It doesn't matter where the idea comes from, too. It could be a listener comes up with something great, and this thing passes, and we'll all take a look at it. So we do agree with you. It's in our interest and the city and everybody's interest to make this thing really happening and moving, and not just your cornfield casino. Look, we could have went out if we wanted to for this issue and gotten some cheap land in the outskirts and said, let's make some self-contained units and try to sell it. I do think it would have been a much harder sell to get this thing approved, but we still would have had a shot. And we wouldn't have gone ahead in the urban centers and made sure that the land was optioned in the key locations to help grow an urban core that made sense for everybody. So I just want you guys to be, we got to get some positive energy going here so we can break the curse this year, win the championship, and then get ourselves what everybody else around us has.
There's no curse, Dan. There's no curse, Dan. Just people not doing the right thing. No curse.
Yeah, it is. But there's you know about positive energy more than anybody, right?
No, I would definitely say, but when there's a lot more positive, people say I'm negative, Dan, but I went on Tripp's show in November and told everyone the stock market was going to fall. I went on this show, what was it? Beginning of the year, told everyone silver is going to go up, forget gold. So I know about positive energy. I just have questions. I just want them answered, nothing else.
Hey, Dan, before we let you go, and we're talking with the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Dan Gilbert, okay? You come on, you've talked about Issue 3, and Gary, the numbers guy, and myself are both for Issue 3, oh, by the way. May not sound that way, but we are. I've said that numerous times. I just think that the numbers are off a little bit, but that's beside the point. Dan, can I ask you one question now? Could I lean on?
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
How about this? Because you're a guy that's got a lot of money. You're in the middle of the business world, okay? Do we have to be concerned? I want to lean on Mr. Gilbert here for a second. Do we have to be concerned about this dollar defaulting, or is this just another a media type creation?
The currency markets are really, really complex markets, and I can't say in any way, shape, or form I'm an expert on the currency markets and what happens with the fall of the dollar and all that. That would be a pretty shocking, incredible event if it happens. I would think that, though, some of your other comments I was listening earlier about the current administration, some of the things that they're doing, I do share those same concerns as I think a lot of people do. And I think that people need to understand, wealth is created. The government prints money, which is just paper, right? But wealth is created by human beings, and it's created by ideas and by people who work hard and by people who create. And when you put a disincentive or make it so difficult for people to create, then they're gonna create less of it. And when they create less of it, everybody else is poorer because of it. So, whether you're a talented worker or whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're working and building a hospital or whatever you may be doing, wealth is created. And don't let them ever fool you to think, okay, it's the government that splits up money that they have every year. It's your money. It's the citizens' money. It's the country's money and wealth that gets produced. And we can never forget that.
Dan, also, too, maybe you could either solidify a point or tell me I'm full of it here, but every time you go after the business owner, what they want to classify the rich, all that does is trickle down to the employees like myself. I mean, to me, it's just like the hand in front of your face. It's common sense. Could you comment on that, please?
Well, I was down in the Union Hall the other night talking about issue 3 with about 500 builder tradesmen, and these guys are plumbers and bricklayers and electricians and everything else, and they are about the greatest people you'll ever meet, and they get it, and they understand this thing is not a mutually exclusive thing. It all works hand in hand, right? People who want to take a risk and take a chance and create something, and they want to pay a fair wage that makes sense to the people who work very hard and create it. They work hand in hand. They're partners in things. They're not the opponents in something. They're partners. And so when you start getting the intellect, the problem is when you start, it's not blue collar or unions. Those folks are fantastic. I've always had great relationship with them. They get it, and we partner on things. It's these intellects who think they know better than everybody else, who haven't produced anything in their life that cause problems for everybody. And I think that's the part that really we should all be looking at and saying, take a step back. Who creates? And when you look at that, then you want to incent those folks to keep creating, and that's better for everybody.
Dan, I just want to ask you a quick question about the Cavs, if that's okay.
Yes.
I've always, told people LeBron James, Tiger Woods, born on the same day, Michael Jordan, Jim Brown, born on the same day, have the same numerology number. I was just looking at your draft this year, and I noticed that Christian Iyengar and Danny Green are both born on the same day, 6/22. Well, any numerology involved in that?
Oh, I didn't even know that. But thanks.
I was just curious.
What's the date? What's the date of that?
6/22. 6/22.
Wow.
You got to steal it there, if Iyengar.
Yeah, I think even Mike Brown and Danny Sperry are born on the same day. No, that's not.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Hey, all I know is that Shaq made a comment the other day, Dan. I don't know if you got to hear it or not, that this might be the best team he's ever played on. I don't know if that's true or not. I really don't care, but I do know this. This is a very deep team you finally have put together there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we were just all talking about that. It is deep, and when you look at J.J. Hickson and what he's been doing early on, and Darnell does. I was just with Mike Brown last night at the charity thing we had down at the Q, and I'll tell you what he was telling me. Watch a game, watch what Darnell does, and the little things that don't show up in the stats. And when you think of that depth, and maybe Sam Poe hopefully coming online after the All-Star game, I mean, we are going to be loaded and deep. We got to avoid injuries, keep it all together, and deliver the ring here in June.
Yeah. If LeBron stays healthy by his birthday, which is December 30th, you'll be fine.
Sounds good. I believe in you because I know you got a great track record.
That's surprising to hear, Dan. That's very surprising to hear.
Well, you're not 100%, but I think you're like 8-2. That's pretty doggone good.
Well, he is a human being. He does make mistakes. Hey, Dan, all I know is don't even ask me why, okay? But I hear everybody here, Bill Wills, Mike Snyder, you've been on with both of them, okay, moan about how their 401k has taken a beating over as the stock market went from 14,000 points all the way down to 60-some hundred, now back up to 9,800, okay? Gary told me to take my money out when it was 14,000 points, about 13.9, okay, somewhere in that vicinity. I don't know why, Dan. I listened to him, and I'm the only one here that hasn't lost any money in their 401k.
I wonder why you're only working those 3 hours a day you told me about when we interviewed. You don't have to do any special other appearances or anything.
Oh, this guy's sarcastic.
No, I'm not being sarcastic. Now I get it.
Normal Capricorn humor.
You know, Dan. One thing I do like about you, okay? Not that one thing. That's right. That didn't come out right. I have nothing against Dan Gilbert. Okay, I want to make that perfectly clear. If I did, I think by now people who listen to me know that we would be going back and forth. I am for issue 3. I just don't think you're going to get 22,000 people through there a day, and I think we're a day late and $1 short on this gambling thing. It should have been done 15 years ago in this town, and we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But that's beside the point, Dan. What I really like about you, that's the way I should have said it, okay, is that you can disagree with Dan Gilbert, but Dan Gilbert will come on with you and converse with you. That's what I really respect about you, Dan.
No, absolutely. You know, and I love your guys' show. I listen to it, and a few times that unfortunately we have to drive in this kind of weather, and I always want to leave at the time so I could hear it because I like people that go deep on the issues and just don't sit there on the surface. You know, it's about going deep and understanding them and having healthy debate. So it's always fun.
Hey, Dan, before we let you go, then the polling, the research shows that issue 3 is passing as of right now.
Yeah, the polling data looks strong in a lot of different areas, and also the quality of the polling data, and it's very deep and strong. But again, we can't get complacent at all. The campaign is working very hard. And we're going to keep working very hard and close strong. But we need everybody. I cannot stress enough. Those of you who are in favor, and if you're not, we totally respect you as well. If you're not, the people who are going to have to vote. The people who are for it, which tends to be people who are younger folks and others who may not vote in off-year elections. If you don't vote and you want it, it's not going to happen. You got to vote. You get the vote out, we win.
Dan, I already told you I really think it's going to pass because November's the 11th month. You're in the 11-year cycle. That's why you had such an emotional year. But I just want to tell you that, back in 2007, I tried to do nothing but help. Hope you know that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You just went out.
No, what I meant was this is going to pass because it's in the 11th month. That's why you've had this emotional year. It's going to pass. But back in 2007, I hope you know I tried to do nothing but help.
No, I understand. We'll talk. We'll figure stuff out.
Mr. Gilbert, thank you very much for the time and any stock tip before we for us peons. Can you throw anything our way?
No, I was just going to ask you that. What are you talking about? I actually don't even. You know what? I kid you not. I haven't even paid attention to the stock market. We're so focused on the season here, so focused on the issue 3 and everything else. I haven't had a chance to look up. So I wish I did, but nothing right now.
All right, Dan. Thank you very much, Dan.
All right, you guys. Take care.
Take care.